I sense your blood.
Not the marks of a garcane or a flutter.
Let me tell you, this sucker was fast. 1 second here, there the next. Always in the shadows. Could barely see it.
Here I am. I shall drink your blood.
While both Ekimmaras and Katakans strike a certain similarity, what with their obvious resemblance to hairy, overgrown bats, they're in fact a very different creature, as both belong to separate branches on the vampire family tree, one lesser and one higher. We will begin with the Ekimmaras, that share the title of lesser vampire with the likes of garcanes and fledders.
Gotta be an Ekimmara.
While not as physically strong, an Ekimmara also matches the speed and deftness of a bruxa or an alp. It will likely run circles around its prey, only darting in to slash its victim to pieces when the opportunity comes. They have talons thin and bony like a dead man's fingers, pointed and sharp. They use these in a similar way to most vampires, as you can expect. They're also powerful enough to break through steel plate and cut through bone in an instant.
Jaws strong enough to crush armor. Ekimmara are tough, even for a group of soldiers.
Similar to Bruxae, Ekimmaras can rapidly teleport, remaining unseen to any but a witcher. They use this ability to stalk and hunt prey unhindered. It is likely that these vampires' similarity to bats doesn't end or begin at looks alone. Bats use echolocation to see through sound, so to speak. Ekimmaras likely have a similar mechanism to their minute counterparts, as they have cloudy white beady eyes that are surely not adequate for predatory vision. They like to isolate their victims, and are often secret killers in human communities and developed cities.
Blood's all sucked out. A lesser vampire? Blood, but not human. Monster was wounded. Seems like it had lost some strength, was sneaking along the shoreline.
Though some can be found underground in dank sewers or in ruinous lairs where the air is cool and thin. They are best suited to the dark naturally and do not like to be disturbed.
Found an Ekimmara hibernating underground. It was old. Must have been asleep for centuries.
In terms of appearance alone, Katakans could be easily mistaken for their lesser cousins. Both look like giant bats, both recover and regenerate from wounds quickly, and both can turn invisible on a whim. However, mistaking the two would be a grave error. Katakans differ on two major points. They are sentient, completely capable of higher thinking and deception, and they can mask their true form, skin changing into a convincing disguise. This makes them all the more difficult to discern their true nature, for a witch's medallion is of no use.
Wait. There's something here. Feel it?
No, my medallion.
A ridiculous bauble. Don't make me laugh.
Many Katakans have a somewhat inflated ego. They enjoy the facade of pretending to be a true higher vampire. A serial killer stalked the streets of Novigrad, killing in the name of the eternal fire. A seemingly human motivation. They would kill in an elaborate and depraved manner, something which took thought and a particular cruelness.
I trust you don't grow weak in the knees at the sight of blood.
Not a bit. Start the autopsy. Murderer gouged out his eyes, then put burning coals in the sockets.
So it seems. Looking at the wounds, it appears our woodcarver was still alive when it happened.
The killer intended to punish the wicked, punish the sins of the blasphemous and the depraved. A slight hypocrisy for a monster.
An egg from an amphibian. A salamander? Scorched but intact.
The vampire showed no mercy, in an organization not ordinarily shown by a blood-starved, mindless beast.
You look a little young to have been his teacher.
Not surprising. For years I've lived in the cold and dark, breathing the vapors of embalming fluids. In short, working with corpses extends one's life. Amusing, is it not?
All seems to be in order.
We should go in, just to be sure.
You're relentless, aren't you? Fine. But wait here, please. Mother's certainly not in the mood for guests. Mother! Why did he do this to her? Why?
Here it is. Sweet Nettie, crippled Kate's. Growing bolder. Not just the name, but the place too. Won't get away this time.
This vampire in particular lied about his status with a silver tongue. He was nothing more than a Katakan, a deceitful and a powerful one at that, however. But he was no true higher vampire.
I last fought a Witcher 2 centuries ago. I do hope I remember how it's done.
And you? Have you faced one of us? No, you couldn't have. You would have survived.
Eventually he was bested, and another evil banished from the ailing city of Novigrad. An almost insignificant change to a morally bankrupt land.
No one will hear you, bitch! Not a soul!
Unlike Ekimmaras, Katakans are the more developed and higher breed. Naturally they are more adjusted to the sun and are not nocturnal. They feel no need to hide away in dark caverns or underground layers, unless they intend to get some sleep or regenerate for a few centuries.
What the? Again? Do you fucking plan to come knocking once an hour now? Enough!
A Katakan once frequented the streets of Oxenfurt in search of intoxicated blood. It is a common myth that vampires need blood to survive. Blood instead affects their physiology much like alcohol does a human system.
Fang marks on his neck. Vampire sucked his blood. Vampire bites and the strong stench of alcohol, just like the other one.
This Katakan then was doubly drunk when feasting on the befuddled patrons at the local taverns. He also had a fondness for shiny things too.
The bracelet, pretty worn. Mm-hmm. Seen that before. Some of them like shiny objects, like magpies. Fondness for jewelry, wounds on the victims' bodies. Everything suggests a Katakan.
A golden bracelet, a jewel-encrusted ring, it didn't matter. As long as it shimmered in the moonlight and was heavy with precious metals.
Except this vampire likes the blood of drunkards. That's the way to lure it out.
Thus the only way to lure such a beast out was to drink and be merry.
The meaning of this? Such rudeness and vulgarity, young people these days.
All right. Sheesh.
A witcher might make himself a treat to be dined on, and wait in plain sight for an ambush.
Your blood.
Come out and fight, bitch.
I shall drink your blood.
Come on, cut the shit.
This is all that needs be said on Katakans, Ekimmaras, Fledders and Flyers, Garcanes, Bruxa and Alps alike. But the crimson moon meets its zenith. The night is nearly at its end and the last of the vampires remain. A witcher cannot stand alone against this final foe. And if you have any gods,
Start praying now. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
Blood are glowing.
Vampire. Probably regenerates here.
Just 5 more minutes. Is it 1358 yet?
No.
Then fuck off.